Welcome to the Evolution Show. I'm Johan Landgren. I hope you're great. Today I continue my conversation with Hans-Olof Nilsson, the entrepreneur and engineer behind a one-of-a-kind solar and hydrogen-powered house that has been operating off-grid for almost 8 years and that is drawing a lot of attention right now. I strongly encourage you to check out part 1 of our conversation to learn more about this amazing house. In this episode, we talk about how this inspiring man is working on making solar and hydrogen storage an off-grid solution for the broader market, with everything from customers like IKEA to farmers, preschools, energy companies, and yes, regular house owners. Join us for an inspiring conversation. And if you appreciate the episode and you want to support the show, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. As always, stay ahead of the curve and stay electric. This is the Evolution Show. Welcome back to the Evolution Show, Hans-Olof Nilsson.
Thank you. It will be my pleasure.
Yeah, we had an interesting conversation in the previous episode when we talked about your truly unique solar and hydrogen house that you and your wife have developed and that is completely off-grid since almost 8 years now. And I highly recommend people to check out our conversation to learn more about this very inspiring house. And I put in the descriptions below for people to go and see it. And people from all over are coming to learn from this energy system in your house, and today I thought we could cover how you and your company, Nilsson Energy, from your last name, Hans Nilsson, making this game-changing technology available to a broader market, so not only for household but for major and medium-sized companies, and of course regular housing. So if we start with the large customers that are looking into this right now, I heard it. When I heard about that IKEA have visited your house, I was curious, and I think people also would like to get a picture how the interest in hydrogen storage and off-grid housing has been. If we start with the companies.
Yeah, the company Nilsson Energy was founded in 2017, and the reason for that was that one of the many visitors that had been at our house asked, "Can you do a similar thing for us?" And I did say yes, and the one that asked was a municipality of Mariestad, and then when I could have such a potential customer, with 2 colleagues, we founded Nilsson Energy. So Nilsson Energy got the first order from them to build a hydrogen production site powered by solar. It should be an off-grid hydrogen production site. And what should they use that for? They should use it for their filling station for hydrogen cars. The municipality had bought their refueling station and they needed hydrogen for that one. So that was the start for Nilsson Energy to build that. And that was actually the world first off-grid refueling station. I mean, in Mariestad, compared with all other big countries with like US and North America and Japan and Korea, etc. They did it, yeah.
But okay, so IKEA, at least I know that some of the management has been visiting your house, and other big companies are interested, energy companies. So how is the interest been from for other companies?
There has been a lot of, in addition to all the private people, also companies have been there, like as you mentioned, IKEA and other big property owners, and the interest is there. They can see that it works. That's what they can see when they're visiting me here. But it do take time. I mean, you don't sell these systems like you're selling a mobile phone subscription, over the counter. The process is longer. They must take it back to the board and to other people. Say, look at this. Where could we implement that in our company or in our buildings? So, but anyway, it has taken off. Like, for an example, we again back to Mariestad. They built a new preschool, brand new preschool that will that preschool will be, or the system will be commissioned here during second quarter of this year. So then that preschool, it will be such an interesting project because it's a preschool, new built. It's built in a village where you have private living, you have sidewalks, and people are around the whole buildings and hydrogen production sites. So it will be a very good example to see if this can be implemented any place and see what it can do. So and that is quite in that. Again, we are storing. We will store. We haven't stored anything yet, but when it will start this spring, summer, they will store 36,000 kilowatt hours or 36 megawatt of energy. Quite
wow! And and will that be enough for the preschool to run during the winter and everything?
It will be also a fully self-sufficient building. It's 1,600 square meters big, can hold 144 kids. It has a kitchen there, so it can cook all the meals. So everything will be done by solar direct during summer, and then during winter season, solar isn't enough. So the fuel cell system will then support the solar so the house has enough of the energy to all the activities, to the heat pumps, to the kitchen, and so on. So it be such
yes. And another example I found very interesting is for farmers. I know that there's been an interest from farmers as well. I think I read that you had farmers on Gotland interested in this kind of hydrogen storage solution.
On Gotland, and also on the mainland. And now Gotland was very early, but now farmers on the mainland has also started to get interest in this. Farmers do have a lot of PV panels on the roofs. They have big roofs, so they have enough of space, but they have also seen that nice to produce energy, but the excess is sold out on the grid, and then every night they need to buy back energy. And that when they start to see, why are we doing this? Producing, selling, and then buying back. It's better to, and then they have seen what I have done or what Nilsson Energy have done in different places. So they are now asking about, can you do this for us as well? And of course we can. It's just bigger. It will be more, it's scalable. It's like Lego pieces, you put them together, to the size you need.
And the hydrogen tank that you will use for that kind of system for our farmers, for example, would it be the same kind of design you have, or would it be different, do you think?
Different. I have these cylinders, 55-liter cylinders. We don't use that any longer. That was I used in 2012 when I was looking for storage. But no, we are using a glass fiber tubes installed in containers, in a 20-foot containers, standard, most common container size, about 6 meters long. No, we are using that, and such a container, when it's full, can hold depending on what pressure we are storing it with, between 7,000 and 10,000 kilowatt hours of energy. Quite a lot.
Oh, definitely.
It is. And then in addition to that, you have also the same kilowatt hours as heat. And also a farmer need heat. You always need warm water.
Course.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
No, so we are using that. So that is the way to do it. It's a very handy way to have the container comes then ready from the container or from the manufacturer of the pressure vessels. They install it in containers. When it arrives, it's ready to use.
Yeah, and we didn't mention in the previous episode, but you could either, if you have a container like this, I guess it's ready to go. You could just, come with the truck and put it on the ground and connect it with the rest of the tubing and the system, the piping. But you could also, in this case, you don't need to dig it down because it's already protected, right? From the container itself is enough, I guess, for in case of the worst case scenario. Something would happen. Yeah.
The container is certified and approved, so it can be placed anywhere. I mean, on the grass, on a parking lot, or any place it can go. So it's safe.
Any place, yeah.
Any place, so it's safe. No, so it's a very good. When you put it together, like I did with all these cylinders, it need to be inspected very regularly, and there are a lot of looking after. You have to inspect it quite often. But this, again, a container can be placed anywhere, and it's approved. You can transport it on the road, and you can go by ferry, etc. So it's
smart. But if, let's say, I as a private citizen would like to have something like this, would you also offer it via the container solution? Would that be the same, or would you build something different?
Now, when we are offering systems like that, inside the container you have 9 or 11 tubes. They are 5.7 meters long, and they could be sold one by one. So so one tube the energy content in one such tube is 1200 kilowatt, 1,200 kilowatt hours. So that's quite, So let's say an average house, let's say a house in the size of 150, 160 square meters would need 2, maybe 3, depending on how, let's say 2 to 3 cylinders, and then they are done. They are self-sufficient during winter as well.
For the winter time, But then for a private house, you would build some, as we talked about in the previous episode, you would either build some house yourself for it, or you would dig these tubes down in some kind of way.
You mean dig it down? It could be placed under surface, of course, but if it's done, you need to have, it must be possible to inspect them. So you cannot just fully cover them. You must be able to go down, open some covers and see that it looks okay.
Yeah, it's not like having a key and just locking it up and throwing it away.
No,
you have to be able.
No. But again, depends on the space you have, of course, on your piece of property. So it's
but it's definitely something you could do for a private citizen as well. So, okay. But recently, we have to mention your company, Nilsson Energy, launched your own product, a solution for hydrogen storage and power generation called, let's see now, RE8760. And so can you tell what that is and how it works?
That has been with us for some years, RE8760. That is our energy system we are designing. I mean, our systems are not a shelf product. It's always tailored to the need, but they are all called RE8760, and that means renewable energy. That's quite easy. RE, and 8760 is all hours in a year. So that's where the name comes from. We can deliver renewable energy all hours in a year. So that's what it means, RE8760.
And I understand that is that a kind of a compressed solution? So it's kind of is it a fuel cell and electrolyzer?
Everything. Everything. Yeah. So we can deliver to anyone that wants to have an energy system where sun is used, or could be a wind turbine also, but so far it has been most sun, And RE8760, it's a complete solution with everything in it. So the customer have to tell us, I need to store, let's say, 3,500 kilowatt hours of electricity. That's what I need when I'm there. It could be a movable thing. He has a place where he is working 2 months a year or 3 months. Out in that place, I need to have energy for 3,500 kilowatt hours of energy. And then an RE8760 is a complete, call it, solution, yeah?
And what's different with this RE8760 from these other things we talked about with the fuel tanks and the hydrogen, the separate hydrogen and the electrolyzer and the fuel cell? Is this something you would offer to the private households as well, or is it more to the commercial side?
Oh, it can be for commercials, but also private. But to do it for the private, we now mentioned costs. Some people have still not understood how important energy is, so they rather spend 1 million Swedish crowns on a new vehicle than on an energy system. That is, but when they understand we need energy, and that is the most important thing in a house where you're living, then I think the mindsetting will change over time. They are talking more and more about energy now. How can we produce? That's why PV panels are so popular today. Everyone that has a roof will install PV panels. But again, that is step one. Then you need to store also, because most PV panels are too big in relation to what you are consuming when the sun is up shining. So you should. So that's step number 2. Store some energy. Start with the battery, and number 3 is store even more and use it during winter. So it goes not quick. It takes time. But there is a change towards that. We need to be more and more independent.
I completely agree. I just wonder a little bit, could you say anything about the price for this RE8760? If, let's say, you want something like 4,000 kilowatt hours of storage within it, so to speak, in a tank, is it hard to say something about that? Is it something in the ballpark of 1 million, 1.5, or something like that? Or
we have done calculations where, for an example, a builder will do 20 to 25 single houses for 25 families. Then they could then have they are then looking for a central local energy system for these 20 houses, so to be fully independent of any grid and so on. And if you do that amount, if you have such a central system, we are talking about, again, Swedish crown is very weak today, but it's about 80, it would be in a rate of 85,000 euros per house. Not a lot. So it's below 1 million Swedish crowns for sure.
Fantastic.
And
and
if you want to do only one whole house today, the same size, 150 to 160 square meter house, well built, insulation and so on, we end at the price of about 1.3 million Swedish crowns, or 130,000 euros.
Yeah, but that's totally doable. I think that's. It's not. I think many would expect a much higher price. To be honest, I think it's.
It's there, but again, it's a bit. Let's say, so far all the house companies, they are competing with each other, of course, and no one of these will not even mention this, because they are afraid that if they suggest, let's see here, an energy system that could make you self-sufficient will cost, and no, they won't. That will of course be more expensive than the competition that have a standard basic electrical system connected to the grid. So it's the mind setting must change, so the customer must ask for it. They must go to the house supplier. I want to be self-sufficient.
Yeah. But that's why we do this conversation, Hans. I hope many people will watch this, and that's the purpose of my channel, is also to spread awareness and to inspire people. And I really hope this is something I really personally I'm inspired by, and something I definitely consider for my own house. My house will be as far as possible self-reliant, and I will design it from the beginning to be able to expand my system after I learn how my system works, my regular energy system. I will prepare it for your kind of system. So I will definitely, and I hope people can, so I will tell people how I do my house, and I will also tell them that I consider your system, and when I hopefully install it, I will tell them that as well. So I encourage people to check out what I'm doing on my channel on that. But today we have to mention something a little bit. I know that there are police and emergency rescuers, I think, that are interested in kind of emergency power. And I think you are helping with that too.
Yes, we also have, in addition to this, RE8760 energy systems, complete for a building, for an example, or so. We have backup power systems. We all know diesel generators. That is common, was common, and still are common for emergency purposes. But we introduced here in late December last year a fuel cell generator. It's powered by hydrogen. And that has created a lot of interest, not from private individuals, but from companies then that need backup power as an emergency system. And as you mentioned, yes, rescue organizations like ambulances, firefighters, all these important functions, they have an interest of that. And the thing is that what makes it so interesting is that they can produce the fuel themselves. They can produce the hydrogen on the terminal where they are located. They don't need to buy diesel fuel or any other fossil energy. And it is, yes, and we have been on we have been out showing it in a couple of places, and there will be many more places where we will take the generator and of course run it and see how it produce. I mean, it's in a way it's like a diesel generator. You can hear the noise and the smoke and all that. Right? Here it's dead quiet. It can you can keep it inside. I could have
and you're not reliant on diesel. I have to mention that. I mean, let's think about the military, for example. I mean, a Swedish military or anyone else. I mean, that's a perfect application to be somewhere remotely. You need power, But finally, we've talked so much, and I don't want to keep you more. But finally, I just want to hear a little briefly, if you can say, what do you think about the future for this technology? If you would say something about, for two things, like first of all, for the energy market, what kind of, how do you see this could change the energy market for solar and wind, for example? And could you say something about, for let's say, housing and commercial buildings? Just briefly, if you look maybe 5 years ahead.
I mean, we're installing, not we, but here in Sweden, more and more wind power is installed, and also solar, but the wind is of course the majority. And to make wind and solar energy and let's say a reliable energy source, we need to store it, because we cannot control the wind and the sun, and because of that we must, when they are producing, we need to store it to be usable when the need is there, and that will happen. There will be systems designed and built to store wind and solar, so that we will see it, maybe not in 5, but between 5 and 10 years time. We have a lot of renewable wind and sun stored and then used during days like today, for an example, winter time, and that when you have outage, I mean, there you will still have problems with the grids of different reasons. You can start up your fuel cell driven generator. We will see it, so that will make a difference. Yeah. What has come here, let's say the last year or last 6 months, is all these that are built today, logistic centers, building these big buildings with big roofs again. They have started since 1 or 2 years back to install PV panels on the roof, but they are also there. Why? What can we do? What more can we do than just deliver energy to ourselves, but then the grid? Now that is to store energy to help the grid in the region, so they can, by having its own energy inside the four walls, they can disconnect its load on the grid and tell the grid company, hey, I can disconnect for 3 hours if you need the power we normally take. And that is a huge interest, that with all that energy they are producing, they can store some of it. So they have, for an example, we do have these questions. We want to have 7 days of independence. If there's a problem, we will have 7 days of energy to maintain normal business in the building. Huh? Not fully off grid, but for an
no. But it's a first step, and we can see how long it can go. I'm sure it will be a step-by-step process, and different customers, different needs, and so on. Yeah. But thank you so much, Hans. It's been super interesting. I hope people watch this and get inspired, and I encourage people to check what you have done. I'll put in links to Nilsson Energy, maybe we can talk in the future, see where you've been.
We have a lot of things. We have a lot of things going on, so it probably could be some talk about that.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much, Hans.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
That was all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. Tell me what you think about Hans-Olof Nilsson's off-grid solutions in the comments below. Where do you see the biggest potential for the use of solar and hydrogen storage? Hans-Olof is probably coming back to the Evolution Show, so feel free to ask many questions below, so I can ask him next time. As always, before you go, if you'd like to support the show, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Next up will probably be another amazing solar solution I'm considering for my own energy house that I'm designing. So stick around for that. I hope to see you next time.